This evening, let's explore control, anxiety, and meditation. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. The 70s called. They want their hair back. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you were looking for. This evening we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly as Rey Skywalker on 1jan class under the guidance of General Leia Organa, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. This evening, we could explore control, anxiety, and meditation, that you too could meditate like a Jedi. If at any point during this evening's live stream you have a question about meditation or philosophy or even chanting, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, YouTube's funny. If you're watching a replay, they'll take that chat window and basically transform it into a comment area and place it below the video because they can. Well, the sun is set, the day is done, and if you are as fatigued as me, you may find it refreshing to knock out 2 or 3 repetitions of geriatric step-back squat thrusts before an image of a Buddha. You might even call it enlightened fitness. Let's see what I want to do. I'm going to click this button here. I'm going to take a moment to adjust the dimensions of the camera. Okay. May I liberate all beings. By mastering the Eightfold Path through relying upon the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings. By mastering the Eightfold Path through relying upon the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path example, instructions, and students. Woo! That'll wake you up. I guarantee it. Ouch. Let's see, how do we fix this? We tap edit and undo, and we lock it down. You on Reddit asked anchor points on exhale and finding stillness. I'm doing resonance breathing at the moment, twice a day for 20 minutes or so, 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Have been working on my breath mechanics, so I'm breathing more deeply with my belly and accessory muscles rather than chest. I have anxiety, and it's been worse the last week or so. My issue has always been over controlling the exhale towards the bottom, so creating more strain in my body. It's hard not to overthink it, and focusing on sensation at the nostril doesn't work. I'm really trying not to over-control and get in a loop of overthinking or over-controlling, etc., like I've forgotten how to exhale. I've noticed that picturing myself breathing or really trying to imagine the breath as opposed to my feeling of my own body does help at moments. Does anyone have any tips here? I don't often get to the end of a deep breathing session and feel necessarily more still. Would combining a meditative practice help there, or is it my technique? I normally wake up frequently in the night, but can sleep again. The last week I've struggled to get back to sleep. Last night I tried deep breathing and then sleep hypnosis, which helped. My system feels very anxious when I wake up, and I'm struggling to see the wood for the trees. Trying to hone in on sounds at the moment does help to an extent. Okay, so first I'm going to go through this just spontaneously. Now, there's 3 ways I can go about this. One extreme is to blow sunshine up his nose and telling him he's awesome and everything he's doing is great and it doesn't need to change a thing. But that's not going to help him. The other hand, I can be a psychotic bastard and be totally cruel and tear him a new one. That won't help either. So I'm going to try to find the middle path between telling him what he needs to hear, but in a gentle and respectful manner. I'm doing resonance breathing at the moment. So this is a form of breathing exercise. And like all forms of breathing exercise, it is controlling in nature. There is yang and there is yin. There is being rigid or flexible, loving or fearful, controlling or laid back. So just because you're practicing something that smacks of being controlling doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you've received some bad advice. We all have done that. We've all received bad advice. We've all tried things that didn't work. It doesn't have to define us. We can let go of it and move on to stuff that serves us better. I've been working on my breathing mechanics, so I'm breathing more deeply with my belly accessory muscles rather than chest. Okay, so once again, this is if what you want is peace. Might I recommend the Buddha's path? Now, don't be confused. Lots of people call themselves Buddhist, doesn't make them Buddhist. I can go to McDonald's, sit on the counter, and proclaim to everyone there that I'm a Big Mac, doesn't mean I am. But if you can find them, there are Buddhist techniques that are very liberating and freeing and can make us spontaneous and happy and peaceful and carefree and loving. And if you'd like that, I'm happy to help you. Whenever we indulge our controlling tendencies, we are going to increase our anxiety. It's hard not to overthink it. Of course, when we take something that is the domain of our medulla oblongata, we take breathing that is the domain of our autonomic nervous system, and all of a sudden take it out, tear it out of the grip of our subconscious and try to play with it consciously, bad things are bound to happen. There's more wisdom in our body than there is in our prefrontal cortex. The wise people do not fight their body, but rather work with their body. I'm really trying not to over-control and get in a loop of overthinking and over-controlling like I've forgotten how to exhale. So here's the cool thing. When we are controlling, despite our intentions, and it feels like we can't breathe, we can. It is not a question about believing. Believing is overrated. If you feel like you can't exhale, then don't. Eventually, your body will start breathing again. When I was a kid, back in the 70s, I used to watch reruns of the original black and white Outer Limits. And they always begin the show the same way. Do not attempt to control your TV. Do not attempt to adjust your screen. We are in control of the image. We can sharpen it to crystal clarity or soften it to a blur. So Similarly, when we let go of the reins and let our body resume control of our breathing, it's going to be much better. And of course, this reminds me of a Chinese archetype that has been lost. It's easy to find a statue of Lao Tzu depicting an enormous man on a teeny beast of burden, but that is inaccurate. The original images of, the most authentic images of Lao Tzu show a frail and wizened old man perched upon the tuchus of a great ox, a great lumbering beast. The ox has no bit in its mouth, no bridle over its hand. And in the man's hand, there is no reins. How? How does the old man perched upon the tuchus of the ox control the ox? And here it is, the secret of the ages. He doesn't. He doesn't control the ox. He doesn't try to control the ox. He doesn't long to control the ox. He is happy to go along for the ride. The key to a peaceful, happy, meaningful life is not to be controlling. It's not to practice scattered spontaneity, but it is to practice centered spontaneity, where our choices and utterances and deeds flow from centered spontaneity. This is the key to peace. Does anyone have any tips here? I don't often get to the end of a deep breathing session and feel necessarily more still. Of course not. Control leads many places. Peace and fulfillment is not one of them. Would combining a meditative practice help here, or is it my technique? No. A meditative practice would help. Not a concentration practice, because that's rigid, but a meditative practice, where on the in-breath we notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly, and during the out-breath we allow our body to physically relax and our mind to release as they have evolved to do. I do personal routes. I normally wake up frequently in the night, but can sleep again. Last week I've struggled to get back to sleep. Last night I tried to deep breathing and then sleep hypnosis, which helped. Sleep hypnosis is more controlling tendencies. My system feels very anxious when I wake up and I'm struggling to see the forest for the trees. Yeah, stop being controlling. And trying to hone in on sounds in the moment does help to an extent. So, if the person who is reading this is watching this now, well, hallelujah, you are utterly welcome. So I think I'll explain that for a moment. Every 12 hours I broadcast a live meditation class without any ads. This channel supported by the generosity of viewers just like you. With your help, this channel could come to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If this speaks to you and you'd like to help out, even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, you are utterly welcome. Simply poke around the description area below the video. You'll find a Patreon link. You'll find a PayPal link. You'll even find a YouTube join button as well as a currency button. You only have to click one of those. Ain't no big deal. Thank you very much. I'm going to check to see if there are any questions right now. I don't see any questions. And I want to make sure, it looks like the volume is working. I got a text. Okay. There it is. It's 16 minutes after the hour. Yeah, this might help. It's 16 minutes after the hour. I have to use the magnifying glass. I think it could be fun if together as a team we chanted 6 passages from my adaptation and amplification of the Padmakara group's translation of the final meditation manual of Salvatore Rinpoche. The first part, my sorrowful tirade of this decadent age's ways, was a reproof I had intended for myself. The sad lament has affected me deeply. Now I offer it to you, thinking you might feel the same. If that is not the case, and you have total confidence in the loftiness of your view and meditation, what ideas about how to combine the worldly and the spiritual, and the diplomatic skills to settle problems to the satisfaction of all. If you have all that, then I offer you my apologies. The second part, my dissertation, establishing view and meditation. Since of course I have no experience of realization at all, just sets out what I have understood by the grace of the teachings from the precious lineage of the all-knowing Father and Son. The third part, my exhortation to relinquish everything in practice, though you may well miss the point is stepped out by itself, yet since it in no way contradicts the words of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, it would be truly kind of you to put it into practice. This discourse, virtuous in the beginning, middle, and end, was written in the Cedars Cave of White Rock Victory Peak. For an old fellow's pleas could no longer be resisted. But that ragged old fellow up ablaze with the 5 poisons. I have just been prattling on and on, but so what? My theme is of great worth and its meaning unerring. So the merit it brings I offer to you and to all of us throughout the 3 worlds. May the wishes we make inspired by the teachings come true. Now we come to this evening's primary practice text. If you enjoyed this text, excellent. You can download it for free using one of the many links in the description area below the video. Everything I do is for free. Donations are welcome. They are never mandatory. Psst, I know a secret. When a donation is mandatory, it's no longer a donation, it's a fee. Anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Let's seize this opportunity to consider how stress's independence is but an illusion, and is empty of any permanence to grasp for shoving and reaching what's in stress. let's play with 4 rhetorical questions. One of the things I was taught, we learned from reading the 1jan literature, is we can bring whatever life throws at us into the path of love and letting go. Therefore, anything that befalls us, pleasurable, painful, or neither, is an opportunity to practice. And every opportunity to practice, if when done properly, is precious, it's beneficial, it's profitable, spiritually speaking. Playing with this rhetorical question can help transform us from a victim to a spiritual warrior. How could this be dependent? Contemporary neuroscience has debunked the myth of free will. Free will is great when the ruling class wants to tell the underclass that the reason they're suffering is not because they're being exploited, but because they've earned it karmically through past lives' misdeeds. Bullshit. When the Buddha spoke of karma, he only spoke of simple things like how the body affects feelings and how feelings affect appraisal and how appraisal affects impulses and how impulses affect awareness. Really very minute, detail-oriented stuff. He wasn't talking about fate. He wasn't talking about supernatural stuff. So this helps us to remind us that there are no good guys and bad guys. They're simply fortunate and unfortunate people. No one chooses to be born a psychopath. No one chooses to be forced to become a sociopath. No one chooses to be born a narcissist. No one chooses to be forced to become suffer from borderline personality disorder. These are very unfortunate people. Now, are they dangerous? Often. But just because we sidestep someone's dangerous tendencies doesn't mean we have to scorn them. We can love them, sometimes from afar, but we can love them. A wonderful treatise on these ideas can be found in 2 books, Free Will by Sam Harris and The New Human Rights Movement by Peter Joseph. I recommend them both. One of the cool things about impermanence is that it requires 0 faith. We see impermanence all the time. We see the coming and the going of the seasons. We see the waxing and the waning of the moon. We see the rising and the setting of the sun. We feel the swelling and the sinking of our chest. We see change all the time. A seldom taught lesson of the Four Noble Truths is that whatever stressors befall us, they are made worse when we indulge our controlling tendencies. Better to cultivate the centered spontaneity than just continue trying to control things. Now, if you were to tell me that this is poor grammar, you would be right. But like most poets, I take license with grammar to preserve meter. O teacher, like awareness, please come to this crown, that I may train in awareness and letting go. Hey! O teacher, like awareness, please come to this crown, that I may train in awareness and letting go. Hey! O teacher, like awareness, please come to this crown, that I may train in awareness and letting go. Hey! There's no mystery to meditation. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite watching this. And as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite relaxing. But why would we do that? Each inhalation accesses our sympathetic nervous system, empowering the sensory acuity that enables us to watch our perceptions, or enables us to watch the external and internal, the physical and the mental, the pleasurable and the painful, the interesting and the boring, the glorious and the grotesque. In fact, it empowers us to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. In fact, the only label we need ever use is the pronoun this. Whoops, that's the wrong button. Okay. Wrong lever. But what are we to do with all this stuff that we notice? During each exhalation, we automatically access the parasympathetic nervous system that helps us to physically relax as well as mentally release. What are some of the things that we could find ourselves releasing? We can release our resistance to the presence of stuff we hate. We can release our resistance to the absence of stuff we crave. We can release our resistance to the loss of that to which we cling. It's approximately 29 minutes after the hour. Let's meditate. Belief is about clinging, and clinging tightly. Clinging tightly to ideas and emotions and the union of the two. Unfortunately, clinging is the opposite of what the Buddha taught and what Lao Tzu taught. Both these luminaries taught letting go. So you may be believing with the best of intentions, but you cannot believe yourself into the mastery of letting go. One of the things we have to let go of is certitude, even of beautiful things. We come now to this evening's first set of mantra meditations. I should say first collection of 4 sets of mantra meditations. We're going to lovingly leapfrog over the tyranny of our competitive tendencies. If the duality of dread and desire define samsara, then it is the duality of competitiveness and clinging that defines confusion. Together. May I lavish all circumstances, bodies, communication, and minds with good fortune, health, love, and wisdom, that I may master love and letting go. With whom we invoke the example of the Muni wise one, Maha greatly wise one, Muni, yea, of the Shakya Soha, wishing enlightenment for all. Let's see, this is 20, so quick like a Benny, control home, file, save as, hit the letter B button, control G. His screen is probably going berserk. I will tend to it momentarily. As we chant the mantra, get feelings of gold rays were emitting from may thumbnails as horizontal top syllable mantra rosary at our hearts. Lavishing all circumstances, bodies, communication, and minds with good fortune, health, love, and wisdom centered and spontaneous. So we're going to play with 4 intentions. These intentions are going to be loving and they're going to be figurative. Let us lovingly wish that each being's circumstance was as fortunate as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, also known as a Pure Land, or if you prefer Sanskrit, a Vati. We're going to switch gears from circumstances to bodies. Let us lovingly wish that all bodies of all beings be as healthy as the archetypes of enlightenment, also known as yidams, that we see in Buddhist art, seem to represent. Excuse me. Let us lovingly wish that all speech and communication and the relationships that they influence be as loving as a Buddha's communication is thought to be, which is symbolized by mantra. Let us lovingly wish that all minds, that all minds be as wise as a Buddha's mind, which is often symbolized by a one-syllable mantra known as a seed mantra, or if you prefer Sanskrit, bija mantra. Now we come to our second cluster of 4 sets of mantra meditations wherein we contemplate the wisdom of letting go, wherein we wisely leapfrog over our tyranny, or over the tyranny of our clinging tendencies. May I let go of all minds, communication, bodies, and circumstances, as if they were as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be non-graspable to the hand. We stand upon the threshold of 4 rhetorical questions. How is it that when we breathe in, our mind, the functions of our minds, the perception, emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagination of our minds can appear to us so clearly, and yet that when we exhale, those same functions of mind can feel as if they were as non-graspable as a syllable hung comprised only of light. Excuse me. And now our second rhetorical question. As we inhale, how is it that our speech and the relationships that are affected by our speech seem so very resounding, and yet as we exhale, those exact same communications could feel as if they were as non-graspable as a mantra comprised only of light? I cannot emphasize this enough. To really profit from this question, you must physically relax while whispering this 12-syllable mantra. When we inhale, how is it that our forms can feel so sensual, and yet as we exhale, these exact same forms can begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as an archetype of enlightenment or yadam comprised only of light? As we inhale, how is it that our circumstances can look so real, and yet as we exhale, these exact same circumstances could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a real or imagined paradise or pure land or Vanti comprised only of light? We now come to our final set of 4 contemplations that are that do not involve mantras. We're going to use melting as a metaphor of impermanence to help us to leap over the tyranny of our clinging tendencies. And we're going to use absorption as a metaphor of interdependence to help us to better leapfrog over the tyranny of our competitive tendencies. How could all places blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this body? How could all bodies blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this speech? How could all speechless flirty melt into rainbow light that absorbs into this mind? How could all minds blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into infinite emptiness? May all mind, speech, forms, and lots have the wisdom, love, health, and boon of Buddha's mythical Bija Mantra Yidam and Vati. Having sat for the better part of an hour, it may be terribly refreshing to knock out a few geriatric step-back squat thrusts. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying upon the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through relying upon the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May all beings like the Buddha Master, being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. May all beings practice have kind communication, conduct, and calmness, flow spontaneous and uncontrived. May all beings like the Buddha master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate all others. May each being take auspicious rebirth, complete the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. At this very moment, for the peoples and the nations of the earth, may not even the names disease, famine, or suffering be heard. Rather may their kind conduct merit wealth and prosperity increase. And may supreme good fortune and well-being always arise for them. Beginning with Kuntu Zangpo and Great Dorje Chang down to my own kindest Sri Lama. Whatever aspirations they have made to benefit beings, may I accomplish them all. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness May everyone have balance free from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging. May everyone be free from stress. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance free from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging. If you appreciate the Buddha joy, in approximately 10.5 hours, we could explore understanding the Tao as well as chant and meditate some more. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.